Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, corn dog lovers of all ages, welcome to In the Box with your hosts, Matt and Adam.
Everybody get...
What's going on over there, Ding Dong?
What?
In the Box Live for whatever day
Okay.
this is, whatever month this is, whatever year this is. Roll call. One Ding Dong. I have no cake.
Well, we have this. I mean, the ding dong is right here, and then the cake is right here.
Oh, yeah, okay, I get it.
Welcome to Adam and the Ding Dongs.
Adam the Ding- It's our new band, Adam and the Ding Dongs.
Our first hit, Blarst.
Blarst. Where's my blarsting cake?
Mm.
I sent you a picture earlier. There's a box of cake on our counter, and it's sitting there unopened. And I call that cake neglect.
It really is. I mean,
It shouldn't be allowed.
it shouldn't. That we need laws to
What, don't you mean rules?
game protocols.
Oh, we can't call them rules anymore?
Yeah. So going forward, anytime we say the word rule, we mean game protocol. Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about the goalkeeper game protocol, where they can't kick the
Correct.
ball more than twice.
Yes, the game protocol.
If you throw the ball over 3 lines, that is the 3-line game protocol?
Correct. Yes. That is
Okay.
in section B, game protocol C, subparagraph A.
Yes. So one of the things Commissioner wanted us to make sure is that the things that we went over last week, what's the word again? The rules. Oh, wait. The game protocols. The things that we went over last week, like the celebration thing, the social media guidelines, the distance from the field and things, those are game protocols and not rules. And I know they want to call the rules the laws of the game. So the only ruler is this thing that you measure stuff with, right?
Or like Genghis Khan.
Oh, he was cool. Remember him on the skateboard in the mall with the baseball bat?
Yeah, and he was, did he go to San Dimas High
I think so, yeah.
with Socrates?
With Socrates, yeah. We should just talk about, Bill and Ted's for the whole.
Let's just talk about random 80s comedies.
I mean, okay, best 80s comedy of all time. Your choice.
Revenge of the Nerds, 100%.
I gotta go with Better Off Dead.
It was a tie. My top three were Revenge of the Nerds, Coming to America, and then The Great Outdoors. But my opinion of The Great Outdoors has completely changed after the incident I had with Dan Aykroyd.
What was the incident with Dan Aykroyd?
Did I ever tell you this story?
No, you didn't. And now is a
right,
perfect
so-
time for it. Here on In the
Yeah,
Box
it's
Movie
a great
Talk.
time for it because people are now shuffling in.
It's In the Box
So-
office.
That's right.
Wait. It's In the Box office.
Giggity.
Okay, go ahead.
Giggity. So years ago, I went to Kingston with a friend of mine for it was like a VIP party for Foster's beer, and they were giving away a Foster's refrigerator, and it was pretty cool. So my friend and I get there, and then we see 2 other people that I knew, and they came up to me and they're like, "Did you know Dan Aykroyd is in the building?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you serious?" Now Dan Aykroyd's from that area, Kingston,
Okay.
Canada. So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome!" And I used to watch Great Outdoors all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we went up to the bar area, and my friends went up first. we didn't want to like crowd him, and be like, oh my gosh, we all love you. So they went up to him and said whatever, and they came back and they're like, oh my God, he was so nice, and we got pictures with him, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So my friend Matt and I, we walk up, and I go, Mr. Aykroyd, The Great Outdoors was one of the greatest movies ever made. It would be an honor to take a picture with you. He said no. And he had his like bodyguard friend like push me away, and I'm like, are you serious right now?
Wow.
Like, to that day, I have not watched The Great Outdoors.
Wow.
So.
Well, that sucks. I've been thinking now, I mean, like Ghostbusters was an 80s movie. There were so many of them that were so good.
Yeah. But those were three that I really liked, but...
How often do you go to movies?
Rarely.
Name one comedy movie that's been released in the last 10 years.
Would you consider Jackass the movie?
It counts. I don't know if I could name one. Oh, Bill and Ted's the third one.
Yeah, the third one.
The third, whatever that was called.
That's what it should be. Now, guys, we need a good title for the third one of these. All right, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the third one. Okay, I like it.
I was in a band in the late 90s, early 2000s. We put a 3-song EP out, and we put it on the CD, and the guy wanted to call it 3 from 3 because it's 3 songs and there are 3 of us in the band. But instead of putting an actual number 3, he put giant columns as the background of the thing, and everyone who did a review on it called it From 3. Because they didn't understand the 3 in the back. It's like... So anyway, we got to say hi to everyone. Jay, the Grotzkreuz cousins, Adam and Megan. Sterling and Brandon are here. And happy birthday to Kevin. Is it Capel or Capel? And I don't know how you're going to type me and tell me that. The internship with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. Okay.
Ooh. So before we go on, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. So in a little bit, the NFL will be announcing the Fan of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
The MASL family is cheering on our own Panda.
Yep. And Michelle Brooks is here too. Hi, Michelle. Yeah. So Panda won the Rams Fan of the Game, or Fan of the Year, sorry, somehow, and then got to go to this next level competition where it's her up against.
They have tickets to the Super Bowl too.
Yeah, that's pretty slick.
Have you seen prices for that?
No.
Unfortunately, you cannot get a ticket to the Super Bowl just by parking.
Oh, I mean, it seems like that's what they should do.
It's like 4 to 5 figures for tickets. It's insane.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
But
Scotty wants to know if it's too late to vote for Panda. I have no idea. Check out Phillies or Panda's post.
I think it is. I think they're... Yeah. Yeah, she got to meet a Giants great, Victor Cruz, wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
So the NFL made a big apology this week. It's Capel pronounced like maple. Unless you pronounce maple like maple, and then it's Capel like maple, not maple. Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
So the NFL apologized because for the second year in a row, the Super Bowl is played in, like, the hosting city is actually in the Super Bowl. So they put some, they decided to make a long-term decision on it, and they're going to have it in Dallas from now on. That'll never happen again.
Exactly, it won't happen. So,
oh, America's team who can't win a playoff game. Anyway, we have a lot of stuff to go over this week.
I can't wait. Does that mean like 3-hour show?
I don't know. 7:41. What I will say is that you're going to want to stick around to the absolute last minute, because there's a very exciting thing coming up that happens right before we go to the outro, and I'm excited about it, and I almost can't hold my excitement.
I am literally signing off 5 minutes before that happens. you can just...
Yeah.
Because we all know what's going to happen, and I'm sure it's going to be as great as your one from last week, but
I think it's better.
So,
I think it's better.
What's going on? What's going on in the league?
So
what say you?
The easier one that we can go over is the Ontario Fury made a statement yesterday about fan safety, and this has gotten a lot of people confused based on what he said. This has gotten a lot of people confused around the league. The other night's game, Monday night's game, Jeff Burham, the owner of the Fury, kind of went over some things that they were, because if anyone watched the game Monday night, they have glass up around the arena now, around the field.
Yep.
And he said, well, we're doing this in advance of the player safety game protocols. I almost said it. I had to stop myself. That are coming out soon, but we're doing it in advance so we can plan for it, because they aren't really going to be official until February 17th. And I went, wait, what? I looked back at the TV and I was like, what? Because I was playing pool at the time, and I rewound it and I listened to it, and he said the same thing. So what I was confused on is there was nothing in the game protocol memo that said anything about putting glass up. There was no teams need to put glass up. This is the thing. Now I know Commissioner Tozer has said it. I know there are a lot of people that are for it. I know there are a lot of fans that are against it. I don't think we even need to argue that it probably makes the game a little bit faster. Are you for or against, or are you both now?
I'm against.
See, and I'm against it for when I'm at the games, and I'm for it for when I'm watching on a stream, because it goes faster.
No, I'm against it. I mean, the game right now is going pretty quick with the goalkeeper rule and stuff like that.
The what?
And we joked about it last week. It's like getting a game underneath an hour. Is that their goal? Like,
what did you say? The goalkeeper what?
Oh, game protocol.
Okay,
I do apologize for that.
If you notice, Monday's game was less than 2 hours long, and they had to fill a lot of time afterward.
I thought they put up the glass so LeSharon doesn't jump over the boards to celebrate the goals with Ontario. That's what I thought.
Or hit players as they go by, like, you just fouled my guy. Wham!
Yeah, with the fan thing that she had. That thing looked pretty...
Yeah.
You wheeled that at someone. That might hurt.
The secret, there's rolls of dimes in there, too. She's whack, whack.
Yes, that's why it made so much noise.
Yeah.
Now it all makes sense.
So what the Fury statement basically says is, for player and fan safety, they're going to try putting the glass up.
It's going to be interesting. Utica won't know until the 23rd with what they're going to do. And I'm going to guess they're just moving back the beer garden, and that's it. I think
we talked about it last week. Somebody said the beer garden's already gotten adjusted. I think John Brewer said that. John's here. Hi, John.
John Brewer, one of the two. Yeah. But the seats around my area, I mean, no one puts stuff on it, and it's just basically just don't put anything on it.
Right. Now, I know there's some concerns because the ball is heavier, but and Matt Sterling just said something. He's against changing rules mid-season. You don't change the way the game is played after rosters are set. Agreed.
We don't change game protocols.
Oh, game protocols. Sorry. Yes, it's not rules. And in fact, Matt Sterling, you deserve A for using
there you go. Yeah.
Party foul word.
I'm waiting for a message from Keith Tozer to just pop up on my thing and be like,
okay, guys, you made your point. Knock it off.
Yeah. Or he'll just call me.
Yeah.
So if I step away, it's a call from Commissioner Tozer.
Tozer, we're not making fun of you, but anyway, this is just how we are. It's just your turn in the barrel right now. Next person's turn will be I have some very interesting information that we'll get into in a little bit. I had a 45-minute conversation with head of officials Brian Sigich yesterday. What day is today?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. And going through a lot of things with that. But yeah, so I got a lot of questions about, hey, why is the glass up at Ontario? I thought they weren't going to put the glass up around the league, and I'm like, wait a minute. I did some digging in. I talked to some people. It's not a game protocol. It's not even it's a suggestion. Like, hey, if you want to do this, you could do this, but it is not a league-wide thing. I believe one owner in particular said, and I quote, "We ain't doing shit." So, and you can guess who that is, but I don't, I don't think that's going to be an issue for most teams. I know, like every game in Florida, they announced that they don't even have the glass because the last time they had a hockey game in there was like 1843 during the Civil War or whatever it was.
Their fans are like 100 feet away from the turf anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. And you can't tell me that they're going to go out and buy turf or buy glass when they still have everything else going on there. So I think it's safe to say Florida will not have glass up ever in that arena. So that was the big thing that came out. Let's get into my conversation with Ryan Sigich. So if you guys don't know, Ryan Sigich has been the head of referees for the MASL for a while now. A number of years. He is in charge of putting the crews together, getting pay and budgets figured out, putting who is on what game, and then training the refs, going over laws, and he also officiates a number of games. When the post that was made by Ontario about we need to, refereeing in this game and this and that, kind of sparked Ryan to write a letter to the owners, GMs, and the league. And I was given a copy of that letter. I will not be reading it word for word. I will be just kind of pointing out some things. First of all, the one thing that he said is the January 26th game, that was a Tuesday night game in Ontario versus San Diego with all the issues, like the Toth and the Pardo on Willie Spur, Toth getting kicked in the face, not being stopped. That has been dealt with. There's not going to be an official statement made. When he told me more about that, it made sense because you don't want to really call out, like, if there's a player and he has a bad game, do you just immediately call him out and say, well, Matt Huber let 15 goals in? Oh, sorry, that was a bad number. I really pulled that off the top of my head. That was a bad example.
That's on a low end. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Matt Huber let in 37 goals, so we're firing him in public, and he's no longer going to be a member of the In the Box over
Monday night
over 40 league.
Over 40.
So
what time is it?
7:50.
8:50. Just got a message from Commissioner Toes.
Oh, really? So it was basically they're not gonna call out the refs by name, but if you do some research and you follow through the end of the season, may or may not see that crew on any more games. We'll leave it at that.
So let me just say, Commissioner Tozer, if you are watching, and I know you are watching, I cannot read your message. I have to back out, read the message, come back in. If you want to send it to Adam,
yep, I can read it. I'm on a computer. I'm not on a phone.
He can read it. But I will just say this, Adam, what you said about him saying that he needs to put the glass up, or he suggested glass up, you're wrong. So,
well, he mentioned it when we talked to him. He said it makes for a better game, and it wasn't going to be a game protocol rule of law thing, but he prefers
I am reading.
Okay.
I am reading what he wrote. That's the first sentence that I looked at.
Okay.
So, but yeah, send it that way.
Yep. So Brian Sigich he said, instead of addressing the complaints of my opinions, I'm going to leave facts. There are 48 active MASL floor referees, and I did get this verified. It is MASL 1 and not M2, M3. So everything I'm talking about going forward is MASL 1 only, top tier of the league. There's 48 refs that are widely varied in skill level and experience level and location and things like that. He told me a story that he was talking to someone, I can't remember whose name it was, he was a former ref back in the years ago in I think the KC area. And he said, well, how many refs do you have, for the league? And Ryan said, well, I have over 40. He said, that's crazy. You don't need more than like 20 or so to cover a 12-team league. And he said, well, I can't because of budgets. And we'll get into that. It looks like, we'll get into that in a minute. He compared things to other leagues, and the experience in what we have in the MASL right now, there are 6 FIFA level refs. There are 9 pro level refs, which is like right below FIFA. There are 13 U.S. soccer national refs, and there are 20 that are regional or local level refs. So there's a giant gap, not gap, but there's a giant spectrum of experience there in what is in the league right now. And so he said there were, based on last season, there were 11 referees that were released/replaced, and the season before, there were 8 referees that were released. There's a pretty good vetting process. There's a pretty lengthy trying to figure out who can be good in what game, but he said, and we'll get into this, and like I said in a second, like 90% of them are local to whatever city that they're reffing in. So that said, he went into some compensation and travel budgets. And I won't go on the exact numbers, but like the referee pay is 400% lower than MLS. Sure, you can understand that. But it's 80% below USL championship level, which if you look at where the MASL is in the world, it's supposed to be the top league. I think a lot of us compare it to USL championship. But yet they're almost double, paying the referees almost double what our referees are getting. Travel game per budget is 150% below that USL championship level, and like a crazy amount below, like NWSL, it's 350% below NWSL. And actually the travel budget is $275 per game per ref. And that's all. So if you think about how much it takes to fly from one city to another, spend at least one night in a hotel, fly back, and then a couple meals thrown in, because we aren't going to make these guys pay their own way. That's just standard in the U.S. as far as jobs and per diems. There's no way you can make that happen on $275 per game, which is why most of the refs are local. But the big one he wanted me to get into is a video review. And he's basically been begging the league for years now, and granted we can't say anything about Tozer and company this year because it's our first year, but the owners, it seems they don't want to pay for video review. And he made a comment about a much lower tier sport, college level, not widely televised sport that has video review. So it's at all the levels of sports, all the way down to the college level. I know there's probably some high school sports out there that have it. Think like football in Texas, how big that is. That probably has video review somewhere. But he's saying that the refs don't get do-overs. Like for the Toth thing, what I heard is the head ref had his eye on 2 players who were going at it and jarring back and forth and holding jerseys and pushing each other. And John Brewer says the size of the root beer an indication of how long the show is going to last. Maybe.
I'm hoping it doesn't go below the label.
Yeah, maybe we're going to be going into
overtime.
Which is what we decided. The 2-hour limit is the regulation limit.
I guess. I think 2 hours is regulation. Yeah.
2 hours regulation. Anything over any half an hour over that is overtime.
Yes.
We were in triple overtime last week, which let's not do that again. But I think the point is, I think the refs are, and I have been very critical. In fact, I apologized to him on the phone. I said, one of the first things I said in our little bit that we did last spring of, if I were commissioner, well, other than kicking Florida out of the league first, I would say get rid of Ryan Sigich as head of referees, because something needs to change and something needs to happen. And that seems to be it. You kind of, changes in all of sports and all of business kind of start at the top and flow down. The problem is if he's not given the tools to be able to do the job correctly.
Yeah, it sounds like his hands are tied pretty much.
I am a Ryan Sigich. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I'm a Ryan Sigich fan, and I told him that. I'm like, no, we're fans of yours. I see things in a different way. Now, granted, as a sports fan, I can never be a fan of any referee, but as Ryan Sigich, head of referees for the league, I'm a fan of Ryan Sigich. But when you get on the floor in Milwaukee, that's a different story. I'll come down and say hi before the game, and then that's it. We're done until after the game, and maybe even longer, depending on what happens. Depending on how many game protocols were missed, or something. But so we talked about a lot of things, a lot of anecdotal stuff. I ran into him in a game 4, 5, 6 years ago or whatever, and he actually remembers when I said that. But I did ask him some questions that I wanted to kind of go into. Let me see. So, he put some recommendations. He basically said lower the number of refs and increase the number of games per ref, because right now, with the budget, there's no way they can get 2 top-tier refs in the same game unless it's like a playoff or a championship type situation. And he's saying that if they want the top talent, it costs money, and it's the same with sports sports players, athletes, those guys.
Yeah. So I mean, my question to Ryan then is, well, obviously he watched the show last week because he reached out to you. So, but Ryan, if you're watching this, I have a question for you. Is the referees, is it more of a territorial thing, or is it a lot of referees are in a certain area which costs more to fly? I don't know. Like, if you break it down, could you put certain referees in the Northeast and the Southeast? Well, Southeast being Florida, like Midwest, West. Like, I wonder what the breakdown is of that.
Never mind. I just got a text and I didn't recognize the number and wanted to make sure it wasn't Poser messaging me.
Oh.
He did kind of answer that. He said so what'll happen is, like, he lives in the area where there's one team, and he will ref those games unless they're back to back. One of the things that he doesn't want to do is you don't want to have the same crew back to back, just because you don't want fans to get sick of you back to back. And I think that's just standard protocol. You don't want the same refereeing crew every week or every game that's local kind of thing. But he will take those local games and then free up that budget money for others. I think what he tries to do is there are some top tier refs that he wants to have more exposure to in more different cities. And those guys will get the preferred travel over other guys. There are other refs that only ever play or only ever ref in their local city for their local team and never ever travel.
Right.
And I think that's probably most of them.
And then I guess, so my second question, I kind of wish I was on this call, but
yeah, you were working.
Is,
I wasn't.
When it comes to training, now, is it, and I'll use this as an example, and we mentioned this last week, going back to the YouTube videos, like, what would you do in this situation?
I didn't get to bring that up. We ran out of time. I wanted to ask that. I thought that was a really cool thing. And if anyone remembers what Matt's talking about, there was a YouTube thing like, what would you do in this situation? And then like the next day they released another video with Ryan detailing what happened and what should have happened and that kind of thing. Here's what he said on training. It's very limited based on lack of resources, and it comes down to travel money and things. He held an optional 2-day officiating preseason seminar in November. I think that was in Dallas, but the refs had to attend on their own expense. So we had 33 of the 48 able to attend. I think that's actually pretty awesome percentage-wise. Like, here, go to Dallas on your own expense in November. Now the guys in Wisconsin are probably like, oh yeah, Dallas, great, November, yeah, yep, weather sucks, let's go. But they still have to do that at their own expense, and all these guys have day jobs. They don't ref for a living. So they have to take off work. They have to do, I don't know if it was on a weekend or whatever, but I'm sure they have to take off at least one day of work, pay their own way, pay for hotel, their own meals and everything. And maybe you know, somebody picks up a meal here and there, but it's pretty much at their own expense. They do have bi-weekly referee webinars to go over game. He used a bad word here. He says rules clarification. I'll let him go. I'll let it go on that one. But and video clip analysis. So he.
So I mean, sort of. I mean, yeah. It sounds like. I think when it comes down to reffing, I think it's a matter of consistency, and if he does this, it kind of gets everyone on the same page when it comes to the bylaws of the league.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to, increasing the travel budget, increasing the game fees per ref, to make sure you're getting that top tier, and just look at how it's done.
Have instant replay, for the love of God.
And that's a big thing, is some sort of video review. So video review in San Diego, or in Ontario against San Diego, there would have been no question at all about the toe thing, and there would have been an instant red card on Pardo because when you look at the play in certain angles, it looks like his hands went up and he never hit him with his leg, but you look at it in that one like damning angle, and there's no question about it. But I did ask him about some things that we've been talking about. So Matt's famous quote, the contact above the head.
Listen, I had said that after like 6 or 7 beers, so whatever.
Those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, in the Wave Utica game, Matt stands up and he goes, "That's contact above the head. That's a blue card." And I'm like, "You just say contact above the head?" So what the rule is, it's contact above the shoulder area, meaning neck and head. I asked him, I said, so when is it a blue card and when isn't? Because I've heard this on a lot of broadcasts where guys are like, "Oh, any contact above the head, that should be an instant blue card." And I just said above the head again.
See?
So we're going to rename the show from In the Box to Above the Head.
Above.
Get the corn dog to like look up over his shoulder. So anyway.
So if that's the case, what if they wanted to get a hold of us somehow? You would contact above the head.
Oh God.
Oh, stop. Don't even. 2 hours from now, you're going to be doing the same exact thing with your...
Oh, mine is going to be much better.
I doubt it.
I'll give a hint. It's a Christmas time joke. So I'm a little late.
Middle of freaking February, you're doing a Christmas joke.
Okay. So yeah, Jack just booed you, and definitely deserved. Jack also being real here. The AHL system arenas already have video review systems in place. It's really not a lot in terms of equipment and setup.
No, it's giving the coach a little red flag saying, "Hey, if you have an issue, throw it. You can only do it once."
Well,
that's the issue.
Yeah, but then you go to a video review and you can't count how many damn players are on the field. Remember that fun?
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that in Tacoma? No. Yeah. Oh yeah. Who was that against? Box of ding dongs? All right. Oh, that's going to be a meme pretty soon.
Right.
Dave Kovaleski, do your work. So basically what he said is any off the ball, like after the whistle's been blown, any contact above the shoulders should be like an instant blue card or a red. Off the ball contact should be a blue. When there are two guys challenging for the ball, which does include one guy running ahead of a guy who's trying to get him from behind, then it's more of a judgment call. There are a lot of cases where, and I brought up, like you got like Mo NDI against, say, Gordy Gerson, where there's, a 6 foot height difference. If Mo's going to be swinging his arms and accidentally clips Gordy under the nose, it's going to hurt a lot. But maybe that probably isn't a blue card. There was certainly no intent there. And one thing that he brought up, and this I kind of disagreed with until I heard really where it came from. So I've played a lot of poker in my life, and what you're supposed to do in poker is not be results oriented. You're supposed to say this is the right decision to make at this right time, and then whatever luck happens to come in. Your skill is in making the right decision, not in what happens with the cards.
Right.
Similar to any skill gambling, which poker is really the only real one there. Other than there's this one thing here. I can't stop it either. Okay. Yeah, I can't stop it. I recorded way too much of that song, but so what FIFA has done, and they took this rule directly out of what FIFA's doing. FIFA decided they can't judge the intent of a player because that means they have to try to get into a player's head. And like, is it Suarez like taking a bite out of a guy because he likes to taste of human flesh, or because he's trying to hurt him? I mean, you probably a bad example, but you can't really judge intent when there's so many different players making so many different moves and so many different things. So they are actually taking and making decisions based on the results of the play. So that's why Willie Spur was a red card and a 2-game suspension, whereas if he maybe got less of him and only tripped him, it's probably only a blue card at that point. Not a suspension, not a red card or anything like that. I questioned that for a little bit, and then I did a little bit of research, and yeah, that's what FIFA's doing right now. They're doing based off of results of the play, because there's a lot of like bang plays in sports that you don't really know what's going on. Guy slides in, a guy jumps, and it looks like he gets taken out. Can't really judge the intent because he's always going after the ball, but if he hits him, clips him with studs up in the shin and breaks his leg, then that deserves more of a penalty than.
Speaking of which, did you see the play that was in I don't know if it was in the Premier League or the league below it, where the guy was in the penalty area? And
where was it? Where he was in the what?
The penalty area. I'm not going to say in the box because that's
Giggity.
You just did.
And he basically wanted to get like a penalty shot, so he literally like jumped. There was a defender next to him, and he jumped to make it look like the guy tripped him.
Oh.
Ref blew the whistle. It was like, oh no. No. And then they showed a replay.
Yeah.
Like the defender wasn't even close.
Right.
And the guy just jumped.
Well, so there was a play last weekend in San Diego, and I can't remember who the players were, but one guy, the defender wasn't even a foot away from him. He reaches up and grabs his face and goes down to the ground. Now, the problem is without video review, the refs have very little go on.
Yeah, you can't call that should be an embellishment.
Right. And we'll get into that in a little bit. One of the things was the Mijatovic play from last year, where a certain former friend of the show said, well, what about the Mijatovic thing where the refs, he got hit in the face and the refs didn't do anything? That was the one where I went in and I was like, I remember that, and I got to go look at that. So I looked at it in slow motion. Guy's arm came around, hit him like stomach area, and Mijatovic grabbed his face and went down to the ground. And it's like, okay, well, that should be embellishment. That shouldn't be. It wasn't called as a foul or anything. Definitely wasn't a blue card. So that's where that rule comes from. And then I brought up, like player safety. When should a play be stopped? And like how can the refs be better educated and communicate better when this happens? So one of the first things I asked is, do all the crews have the headsets now? And he said, yes, all refereeing crews in the MASL do have the headsets where they can communicate both with each other on the field and with the third ref in the little area thing. Surrounded by plexiglass, it's rectangular, maybe square, with boards there in that area. So that was one thing that I kind of asked about, like, what does this really mean? I did ask him, where did I write these? Oh, okay. Get into that in a second. So he said headshots should be instant stoppage of play. obviously there was a mistake missed. We can't use the one mistake as that's what's happening all over the league. There was another one against Utica that was missed. I think that is going to be a very hot topic lately or future going forward because of these two incidents. And he says if it's a lower extremity, he said, they stop play until either the team with the injured player gets the ball back or the other team slows it down and says, hey, or if it's like, if the guy goes on the ground screaming in pain and it's really obvious, then they'll just like instant stop. But a lot of people are like, well, he just went down. Why didn't they stop it? Well, the embellishment rule comes in at that point, or the embellishment issue comes in at that point. So I asked them about that. They have a system in place where up until 48 hours after the game, the team who feels that the other team made an embellishment needs to report that to the league for review. The league then reviews that. There haven't been any submissions this season at all for embellishment. And he said he thinks it's because teams don't want, like if Milwaukee calls Utica for embellishment, he said that he thinks the teams think that then Utica, the next time they play Milwaukee, are going to just go back and, well, you did it to us, we're going to do it to you kind of thing. And maybe in a Milwaukee Utica game where we only play each other once or twice a year tops, it's not a big deal. But if you get a team playing each other 6 times, it turns into just nonstop phone calls to the league. I still think there has to be a better system in place, like for the guys who grab their faces and go down. I would be perfectly happy if they had video review where they can go back and give, like, somebody calls a challenge, say my guy got hit in the face. It turns out your guy didn't get hit in the face. Your guy's getting a yellow card anyway.
Or even like a fine.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they're fining for yellow cards.
Don't fine celebrations or team celebrations, stuff like that. Fine guys that are embellishing, trying to. I understand you're doing it for your team, whatever, but it just makes it look worse.
Yeah, and he said the big thing in outdoor versus indoor. Outdoor, 99% of these flops are in the penalty area because that's what they're looking for, a penalty shot, like the guy you just said. Whereas in indoor, they're all over the place because there's so many different advantages and this thing going on and that thing going on that's why they're all over the place. John says fans should be able to submit for embellishment. That's probably the worst idea. It's funny, and I think but yeah, that's probably, they get way too many submissions. And they would just get, I think a lot of players think anytime a guy goes down for any reason, he's flopping. And anytime, somebody goes down and they're grabbing their ankle and then they're able to walk a couple minutes later, they're flopping. Well, I've said this a number of times, like the inside bone on your ankle, like the one that would be right here if this is my foot, go find a metal hammer and just tap it like that. You're going to hurt. You're going to go down and it's going to be hurting. And you'll get up. You're going to go, don't try it. You shouldn't try that. I wasn't saying you specifically. I was saying people who think that soccer players fake injuries all the time. Now, granted, they do. Some do.
Can I hit it with a ding dong?
Hit it with a ding dong. Yeah, you can do that. But what's going to happen is in a couple minutes, now you got to roll around on the floor like Neymar. I knew it was coming. It was still funny anyway. Oh, that was great.
I'm okay.
Brandon's gonna go get a hammer and test this out. But I mean, you're gonna get up and you're gonna be fine. You may have a bruise, you may not, but it's gonna hurt like hell for a while. And as soon as you get up and walk it off, or it goes away, it's gonna be fine. You can run around again.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat the evidence.
Oh, Now I can't submit it to the league for embellishment.
That's right.
So one of the things that I brought up then, based on the crews having headsets and everything, is like this goalkeeper rule. Like, who is responsible for counting it? The goalkeeper law. I'm sorry. Hang on.
It's protocol. Game protocol.
the goalkeeper game protocol law, section 247 of the
Protocol book.
subsection 3 of Article 4, paragraph 2, 6th word, the. What happens when the goalkeeper touches the ball? Someone will say "hot" in the headset. Hot is a futsal term. That's where it started. And then one of the refs will put a finger out. Not the one you're thinking of. This not the one that I need this for. The one this one. And that's basically just to remind themselves. Like if you've seen NFL refs, they every once in a while go through it where they have the whistle in their hand and they have the rope or the thing lanyard around the whistle. They'll put that on one of their fingers to indicate what down it is. But they don't have to constantly look over to the side and they can be the one in charge of that. Same kind of thing. They're doing that. And then on the second touch, either field ref or the third ref can call that. They're all three. I mean, obviously the field refs have like priority, like they should be calling it first, but any of the three of them can do it. So I asked him, I said, hey, so what do the third and fourth refs do? Because this is something I think a lot of fans don't know. I think a lot of fans just see four guys in ref suits and think any of them, ref uniforms, and think that any of them can call any foul at any given time, wherever. And that's not really true. So the third guy is paying attention to too many men, and then he's communicating with the refs about various plays. And the fourth is mainly in charge of stats and fouls and tracking number of fouls per player. Now there is more. I'm gonna send Ryan a message and ask him more in depth, and maybe we'll talk about that next week. So that's that. What did I miss? The last thing I asked, I mean, granted, a lot of this was like story time and just general chat.
Well, while you're looking for that, did Commissioner Tozer message you?
Oh,
he did.
All right. He said, nobody said put the glass up, read the leaked memo. If you have permanent seats, you're okay. Just keep the boards clear. What I'm talking about is when we interviewed Tozer before the season started. So, Keith, that's what I was talking about. Not talking about it. And maybe he's just agreeing with what I said. When the memo came out, and especially when the Fury had their glass up, I had people asking me, like, I thought you said the glass wasn't going up. Why are the teams putting the glass up?
So it just might be a personal preference.
I think it's just a preference thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because the way that I was reading it, and I mean, it would affect me. But from what I was hearing, I don't think Utica was going to.
Yeah, I think some of the fans have heard, because I mean, Eric. He said, actually, I said, read the leaked memo. Yes. Understood. I think what happened was people here, like Eric Berger in KC is a big fan of the glass up based on watching the games last season, how well they've gone through, because KC had the glass up the whole time. They don't have the glass up this season. And I think from a pure gameplay standpoint, people have been talking about it. And I think what happened is when they read the memo post, they freaked out because they thought the league was making teams put glass up, and that was never the case ever. And I don't know why so many people thought that, because that was never said. It was never said that the teams were supposed to put glass up. It had two different sections of teams who have the glass up do this, teams who don't have the glass up do that. But it never said the teams who don't have the glass up have to put the glass up.
Right.
So yes, Keith, we're in complete agreement on that. But fans are fans; they read things the way they read things, and a lot of times that's what's known as wrong. But let me get to the last thing on the referee thing. So I asked him, I'm like, okay, so from a referee, fan of the game, person involved in soccer, do you have any thoughts on rules that aren't in place that should be, maybe something that might help speed up like the downtime in the game? And he said the players not going straight to the penalty box when a card is called is a huge issue in the league. Because if you watch every blue card, everyone complains about it. They don't go to the box right away. Some guys will walk to the bench going, no, you didn't see me. I'm over here. So I think, and he told me kind of a cool story. I don't know when it was. This was a while ago. He said he was in KC. So Kevin Ellis had gotten a blue card like the week before. And then Ryan was in KC the next week. And Ryan went up to Kevin and said, you know what? I don't think you should have deserved that blue card. I'm surprised you didn't fight it anymore because it seemed maybe it was really weak. And Kevin's like, yeah, I was going to fight it, but then I realized there's all these kids in the crowd, all these future soccer players, and I wanted to be a good role model and not show that you should just sit there and complain to the ref. And I was like, that's beautiful.
That's great.
And I'm like, can I use that story? And I hope Kevin Ellis doesn't mind that I use his name. And Ryan said, yes, absolutely. That's a definite big positive for the game. So I would like to see more of that. I see my own. I mean, we had a joke in the first Wave game. Everyone knows Donna with her great internet connection from 2 years ago. She went and she took a picture of the penalty box and she tagged Vega in it and said, your old friend misses you. And he got a really good laugh out of it. But he was a hothead when it came to penalties because he never thought that they should have been called on him. And as a funny story, his youth team played my daughter's youth team at a tournament 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And there was a handball on the sideline where the person jumped up like this and it hit their arm like square there, and they didn't call a foul. And then 10 or 15 minutes later, and that was on our team, and they didn't call a foul. 10 or 15 minutes later, almost duplicate thing happened to one of his players in the box thing.
Giggity.
And they called a penalty shot, and we ended up winning by 1 goal on that penalty kick.
So I kind of
hang on. More to the story. So Vega flipped out, ended up getting himself a red card, and got kicked out of the game as their coach. Okay, so go ahead.
So I got to thinking as you were telling the story of players taking forever to get to the box.
The what?
The box.
Giggity.
Maybe calling like another blue card. Like have a 4-minute power play instead of a 2-minute power play. And like I said, the yellow card for dissent is just.
Well, but if you do a blue, so right now they have blues, they have a blue plus yellow, and they have a red are the 3 levels of non-dissent type penalties, like action type penalties, contact penalties or whatever. You could give a guy a blue plus a yellow, and not only will that put him in the box
Giggity.
for 7 minutes, it requires another player to come in to serve that first time. So you actually are losing 2 players at that point. I think that would be a really valid thing. I mean, I think they would probably have to implement it like they do now, where they do the warning first.
Or I mean, once you give the blue card, start a count of 10. 1,
Yeah,
2, 3, and if it takes them longer than 10, yellow for dissent.
Yep.
Because it is ridiculous how some players think they can get out of it by yelling at the ref, and that's not really.
I've heard people. I don't think I've heard it necessarily in soccer, but I've heard other sports where they say, "Well, the reason he's going after the ref is because they wear down the refs and they work on the refs, and he won't get this call, but maybe he'll get the next call." And I'm like, if that works, then that ref needs to be not be a ref.
Right.
Because you can't let a guy just wear you down and go, fine, you get the call your way this time or whatever. So a couple things. Yeah, so Keith said personally he likes the glass up. And Keith, I think that's all we were talking about. We were talking about what we thought. And I think you and Gio kind of got in a little conversation about liking the glass up for play. And you said I never meant to make it sound like we were talking about it was a game protocol rule law thing. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Keith is messaging me and I'm replying, but he's not doing the YouTube chat, so that's why you're not seeing it. But he says, yeah, he likes the glass up, but a lot of fans and owners don't. And it's also not the most important issue we have. Thank you. If a team likes it down, they would just want to make sure all the players and referees and fans are safe. So, like, I think, well, not all. I think all of the arenas that have seats behind the goals now have netting up. I think the Wave was one of the last teams to do that.
Yeah, Utica has netting.
I know, like, Harrisburg doesn't, but there's no seats right behind the goals. I think even Chihuahua had netting. Yep, Chihuahua had netting.
Chihuahua did.
So I think any field or any arena that has goal or seats behind the goals has the netting up for protection. And then he said the big thing was like, and we've seen this where people like reach down and try to grab the ball. And he said, you know, there was baseball games, and I'm sure there've been one every year, where a fan reaches down and actually affects the outcome of a game. And that's what they don't want. They don't want to do that. And think about, like, especially like baseball or even soccer. Think about two guys running down the... Think about your average person not paying attention on a soccer game, leaning against the wall with their elbow hanging over, and two players coming over and smashing their elbow against the board. And you got just a huge issue at that point. So yeah, Keith, we're definitely in favor of those protocols of, yeah, use the right word, of backing people off and like no drinks. It makes no sense why you would put a drink up on the boards with the field open. It's one thing if you do it when there's a glass right there because that's your built-in table, I guess, but it's not very hard to just put a drink right on the floor next to you and reach down and get it. And not a big deal.
Ontario has drink holders
for
all of their seats. It's great.
I think St. Louis. No, maybe they didn't.
I don't think St. Louis does.
Maybe that was somebody else. There are a couple comments here. Eric Bergerud said, my opinion is neither the official opinion of the Kansas City Comets nor the official opinion of the Major Arena Soccer League, which is why he keeps talking about it every game. Hi, Eric. How's it going? What did I miss? Matt said, if it's up to preferences, I hate that. The game needs to be consistent across the league. Oh. Matt's saying it should be either glass up or glass down everywhere. But just make it consistent.
I was gonna say something about that, but I didn't want to go down that road. Based solely on the fact we kind of went down that road last week, and I didn't.
Let's talk about something new. Field size. Oh, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
So then Eric Lane, hi Eric, welcome to the show. The show chat. He said, I know I'm in the minority but the differences of the glass remind me of how different the MLB stadiums can be, and each has their different strengths / weaknesses. That's kind of how the arenas are different sizes. There's just one or two that are the wrong size. I'll leave it at that.
But I mean, in the same token, you could say, well, one or two teams have glass up around the entire arena.
Right, and that's I think that's what Eric's saying.
So yeah, it's there's going to be something. I think you're going to see there's going to be something different to each arena, and exactly MLB. I mean, no MLB stadium is 320 down the left field line and 320 down the right field line and 355, and the height of the fence is 6 feet. And
yeah, right. Well, and Dave's been posts about, I don't know anything about baseball. I think there's the Baltimore field or somewhere they're doing a new field where they're putting like a big corner right in the middle of the outfield or something. Like, I mean, it's far back, so I don't think it'll be in play, but there's like this corner just jutting out.
Yeah, it's jutting out. It reminds me of Florida's turf.
Like this stupid thing back here that I need.
Yeah.
Marks all over.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see each field have its kind of like unique.
Hold that thought. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate your comments. Good luck to Sean White in the quest for gold. How many ever number it is. So he just said he has to go. He's going to go watch Sean White on the Olympics. So
Oh, okay. I will be. If you want to give me a call tomorrow, Kamish, I will be available.
Okay.
So, there's
Depending
that.
on the time, I may be too.
You,
Not
you
during
had your
lunch,
phone
though.
call. You had your phone call.
Not during lunch hour, though. You can't mess with my lunch hour. You know, like every
You had
job
your
application you fill out is like, is there anything that would prevent you from doing the job to your best of your ability? And mine is if
Cake.
I don't have lunch.
Cake.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay. No, with
Thank
your,
you. Thanks for. I'm sure he's going to watch this later. And what is he? Sean White. He's the killer tomato, isn't he? Because of his red hair. And he's
Isn't that
retiring after this.
isn't that Carrot Top? That's somebody else.
That guy is jacked.
That guy's weird.
He is weird, but he is like
Well, he's weirdly jacked. How's that?
he could probably be a solid defender in the MASL.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean he's
He could
built
just-
like a.
He could distract people by carrying around a suitcase and just pulling out stuff and go, "Hey, check this out."
Sets it up right in the middle.
Right,
in the
exactly,
corner.
exactly. Instead of like like you saw in Milwaukee, they have the piece together the little skeleton game with the dry bone song. And they make the like 6-year-old run like 400 yards in 30 seconds to do it. They could have him just with a suitcase full of stuff.
I've been seeing those a lot more recently, like around the league. I mean, San Diego had a frisbee toss. Ontario had like a soccer ball toss.
Milwaukee almost always does like some kind of, well, I shouldn't say that. So it's starting whenever last season was in Milwaukee, 17 years ago before COVID, we started hanging out at halftime. You were there. We kind of ignore the halftime show and we go hang out in the beer garden area that we have. You know, it's behind the arenas. By the way, this week again it'll be Section 226 Wave fans, but we'll talk about that tomorrow or Saturday. And we missed it, but they always used to have like a combination relay thing where it's like run through the cones, do the dizzy bat until you can can't stay anymore and you have to puke, and then roll the beer keg and do this and do that. And then they had one where it was like a hotel sponsor one, so you had to put on like the slippers and the robe and stuff, and then put the hairnet on and then run down, or the shower curtain net thing.
Yeah, they don't do anything like that. And
Have I ever told you about the New Year's Eve balls to the walls game?
yes, I'm sure people in the chat have not.
I've talked about this so much that I think we have a lot of the same people. So imagine, if you will, a halftime game where there's probably 50 people per side, and they start out with one soccer ball, and it's a regulation soccer ball, and then every couple seconds they throw in another soccer ball, so that by 4 or 5 minutes into it, there's like 20 soccer balls just flying all over the place with 100 people on the field. So there's that.
I like it.
So I think that's all that I have on the referees.
All right.
It was a great conversation. I want to thank Ryan again, and I have 100% or 180% different view and opinion of him.
You've turned the other cheek.
Which cheek are we talking about? These are
This is
Okay.
a PG. This is a PG show right now. Once we get into overtime, it's all bets are off.
all I gotta do is
Right
put
now-
this up, and I can do whatever I want, and you know.
Well, if you put that up, you could actually probably bear the other one that you were talking about, and
Right.
it'd be covered.
Hey, Gio's here. He hasn't heard the Tony balls to the wall game story. I did tell it again at Goolsby's after the game on Sunday.
Gio, so would you do me a huge favor? Maybe in like an hour and 15 minutes, if you want to hop on for me, I got to sign off because Adam's apparently going to do like one of the dumbest jokes I've ever heard. And I don't know if I want to be here for it. So if you want to hop on, that'd be great.
Best joke. Best, not dumbest, best.
Oh, best.
There's a difference.
All right.
I mean,
But still, I don't know if I want to be there for it. So if you want to just hop on real quick for me, that'd be great. Thanks.
why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick timeout? Because Eric's here. In honor of Eric, we'll take a quick timeout.
Yes.
And we'll go to stage 2 or quarter 2. Well, hopefully not quarter 2. We'll go to the second half of our show.
Halftime. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Hey.
Now would be a great time for a timeout.
Now, back to them.
Sorry.
Your back's to them.
I was doing my halftime show where I was spinning myself around and
Making yourself puke.
yeah, making myself almost.
Well, you can do that just by watching 5 minutes of a Florida broadcast.
No,
Anyways,
no.
on to
I've decided not to even watch Florida broadcasts anymore. I refuse to acknowledge.
Thankfully, I don't have to watch any more Florida broadcasts.
I think I have to watch. Ah, crap. I have to watch one.
Unless Utica and Florida are in the first round of the playoffs, then I don't have to watch.
I know the Wave play the
Unless
Comets
Hannah
like
wants to watch.
17.
Oh, so we have something to talk about, and maybe we should kind of put this off until after. But Hannah wants to be on the show again.
Tonight?
No, not tonight.
Oh, again. Oh. When?
Yeah, so I don't know if we want to do a special episode of Hannah in the Box
Giggity.
whenever. But
Yeah, I'm up for it.
okay.
Assuming whenever I have actual time, whenever.
Yeah, I gotta figure it out. I know I have them this weekend.
We'll be at the games. So Saturday is
You'll
almost.
be at the game,
yeah.
so yeah, and then I'll be watching. We'll be watching Utica Chihuahua anyway, so or Utica St. Louis.
Say what? Were you playing again? Yeah. There's been a lot of talk about broadcasts lately. We just go over the broadcast now. I don't know if we have much to go over other than broadcasts and picks.
No, we don't. This is good. We might not even go into overtime. Michael Jordan, I believe I can fly.
Overtime. Michael Jordan lo hizo. I believe I can fly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and those are, just to let everyone know, those are pretty much anytime you call me or send me a message, I get one of those as a ringtone.
Nice.
So.
And we're not doing it to make fun of them. It's funny for me because I don't speak.
It's great.
Yeah, I don't speak Spanish at all, but I love watching the Spanish broadcast because the announcers have so much energy, and because you don't understand what the words are, you feel the energy even more. And then every once in a while, you get this like Easter egg of this weird Michael Jordan. I believe I can fly.
I would love to hear Eric. If a game goes into overtime, I want to hear him with that same amount of gusto. And
actually, Eric, figure out how to say overtime in Spanish, and then when it's going over and overtime, say that in Spanish 3 times. Gio, how do you say overtime in Spanish? I will not say it out loud because I don't want to make fun of myself any more than I already do just by being here.
He'll probably send it to you in an audio clip.
I know this is gonna be unbelievable to you, but Kevin Capel is talking about Utica crunch thing. I guess you stole their whole line of players or something?
We have 2 of them, but they didn't make the trip to Baltimore last week, and they played for Cleveland.
I don't know.
But yeah, Utica is a work in progress. So I don't know who's on the team right now.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Well, I know Obasi got traded to the Ontario Fury.
For what?
Warm weather. I have discussed this with a player from Ontario, and I am guaranteed warm weather in the month of March. And If it doesn't happen, the trade is off.
So speaking of trades, that's actually a really good thing to talk about. There was a pretty giant trade between Baltimore and St. Louis. Traded to Baltimore from St. Louis was Howard Miller Jr. Traded to St. Louis from Baltimore, Armando Teo and Jeff. I don't know how you pronounce his last name because
Mashad.
It was Mashad, but now everyone's saying Micho.
Well, yeah, the Americanized version is Mashad, but the French Canadian in me will say Micho.
I had a friend named this exact same last name and spelling, and he pronounced it Mashad. So Jeff M was traded to the Ambush. The Blast fans are really, really high on Howard Miller. And I think St. Louis got made out like a bandit in this trade. Now, granted, there is also future considerations, which tends to be nothing. Somewhere between nothing and something. Like, I think future considerations is like 10 years from now. Hey, remember 10 years ago, we traded that guy and we only give you 1, we got 2, and you need to give us something else now. They give him a box of ding dongs or corn dogs or whatever.
They can't have my box of ding dongs.
Yeah. Jeff Michoad has a great left foot, great defender. Howard Miller has a ton of speed. I haven't seen enough of Armando since Orlando days because he really didn't play. I don't think he played much at all in Baltimore. And then he was off the last.
Did he play at El Paso?
I don't know, but there's a site that
am I thinking of someone else? I don't know. But obviously Baltimore saw a lot in Howard Miller that they wanted to trade 2 players to get him.
Yeah. And Baltimore needs, one thing we were talking about with Gio is he needs speed. Or not Gio needs speed because that's weird. Baltimore needs speed on their team, and Howard Miller is super fast. Armando played Tacoma, Detroit, Cedar Rapids, Saltillo, Florida, Orlando, and Baltimore. And now
so not El Paso.
And now St. Louis. Almost every other team except for El Paso.
Okay.
So yeah,
I mean, both teams, and I said both teams obviously needed certain pieces of the puzzle for that playoff push. Yeah, but I think St. Louis, if I were to say who got the better of the deal, I think obviously two players is better than one.
yeah. Which is funny because you'd think a team that can't field a team for an away game would need more players. Next topic, please.
Now, back to them.
And we're back.
Oh, here come all of the private messages to you from Blast fans. Good luck at them.
I blocked most of them. No,
Oh,
I actually
All right.
haven't.
Well, please don't send Baltimore fans, if you don't send me private messages directed at Adam. Just send it to him, and
that's only for Commissioner to do.
Yeah.
One thing kind of cool. I talked about. I made a post saying I want to do a new intro video. Eric, don't worry, I'm keeping your audio in there, but I want to do a new video. The video is when Gio first made it 2 years ago, or about a year and a half ago, and I want to just get new things in there. So I figured instead of me trying to find stuff, why not have fans of the sport submit their photos? I got way too many, and I have no idea how I'm going to do it now, but I'm going to work on that over the next couple weeks. And when I have it, I will make sure that I play it a couple times throughout the broadcast so that everyone sees it. Because
I just want to say this, and Adam and I appreciate all of the pictures that we've seen. This is the type of participation we like to see throughout the entire group.
Mm-hmm.
Like posts, like hop onto YouTube and what's that? Can you demonstrate that thing that they're supposed to do?
There's the giant or the smaller little red button. Click on that and subscribe and help us get to 1 million subscribers. We're only,
or at least 200.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we're only nine, and I tried to do the math in my head, and then you said 200, and you saved me. We're only 999,900, and no.
So so what is it? The silver play button thing's 100,000. How would that work for us? Like, would we like mail it to each other? Of course, we're not going to get that many. But.
I saw one of the coolest videos. I saw a guy had a fishing channel, and we got his platinum, which was 1 million subscribers. He took it out of its casing because it's like belt buckle shaped.
Right.
Out on a boat in the middle of a lake, drilled 2 holes in it, put hooks on it, and caught a giant 40-inch pike with it as a lure.
Oh my God.
So that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen with one.
Although I did hear, now that you mention it, I did see something. YouTube is actually giving play buttons to like smaller channels and stuff. I heard 200 subscribers, we're going to get the cardboard play button.
The cardboard play button.
It's just a piece of cardboard with a
take
play
it
button.
And right now when we're at 180, we get the back of an envelope play button.
We get the cardboard buffering.
Yeah, with the spinning, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we can grow this thing. I mean, we don't like we said, we don't get anything for subscribers. It's just kind of cool to see, oh, we got 3 new ones this week or 2 new ones this week or whatever. I mean, the group has grown since they opened it up to not having to do a join notification. We've grown like 300 people since then. We've also gotten a dozen a week, obvious fake accounts trying to join.
Oh my God.
And it's a fake. Like the one today was weird. It might be a Blast fan, but it also might be a fake account that's posted random squirrel pictures on their profile like every 6 months, and that's all they've done. You saw that? I take it you've seen the one I'm talking about.
No, but I mean, random squirrel pictures. Yeah.
I mean that it's kind of like our attention span here, so maybe it means something.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think
Wait, score.
let's talk.
Okay, we're good.
What?
Thought I saw a squirrel.
Oh. No.
No,
So
we're good.
broadcasts. I went through and I changed yet again the power rankings, which are no longer called power rankings.
So is this officially the or will it change next week?
No, I think this is going to be it. So I started doing
You
power.
should just change it every week.
Gio wasn't subscribed, and now he's subscribed. Wow. Wow. To quote one of my friends from Baltimore, wow. Also, I hate you guys.
I'm mildly confused.
I'm majorly confused.
Okay. Well,
Moderately.
then average out, we're really confused.
So on confusion levels, would it go like mild, moderate, severe, or would it be like salsas where it's mild, medium, hot?
Mild, medium, hot.
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm medium confused. I think medium.
Yeah, mine's like a mild, like a picante confused.
Yeah. Not old El Paso picante, because that stuff is terrible.
Yeah.
Back to cake. Every time I say cake, you have to eat a ding dong. When I started the broadcast power rankings, I did like the game power rankings, which it doesn't really make any sense because not every team has a broadcast every week, and some go 4 or 5 weeks without a home game. So then I decided, okay, I'll just rank the ones that are there that week. But then I get ones that I like can't choose between, like, well, Eric said my full name on the broadcast, but Reimer said my name 3 times. Like, how do I pick? So I decided, you know what? I'm giving letter grades. I'm not going to do pluses and minuses. I'm just going to do A, B, D, A. How's that song go? A, B, C, D, F.
No, you should just do all the letters.
Well, no, because we still wouldn't have a scale for Florida to fit. So, and I'm reading these in the order of how they showed up on the standings or the schedule list, not order of games or order of. Speaking of that, 4 people requested to be on the In the Box. Anyone know Elaine Mata from Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil? Joined Facebook 8 years ago, is in 20 groups that none of them are in English. Okay, where are we? What are we doing here? Broadcasts. See, the squirrels are everywhere. They're taking over.
Apparently so.
So I didn't do this based on like letter grade in order. I just did it based on where it showed up on the schedule. I will not be watching any Florida games. This weekend, I may not be able to watch many games because they're all at the same time when I'm going to be at the Wave game. And then Sunday, I need to get some other stuff done, like grocery shopping and some other fun stuff. I don't know how many games I'm going to be able to watch. But here we go. Baltimore, I give them a C. It's just not very good. The announcer's audio was really, really low volume, but it's still clipping. And then when the commercials come on, they just blast you out of your seat. Dallas, I give them a B. They are on the verge of just having a straight A broadcast, but the audio or the video is just a little bit blurry this week. So I would say nothing that puts it over the top to be like a top tier, but solid B. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Milwaukee Wave. Milwaukee gets an F because they missed the entire second half of the game. And as far as I saw on social media, no posts about it saying when it would be posted or anything other than just some fan comments. So it was posted in its entirety under the Milwaukee Wave channel, not under the MASL TV channel. In fact, I think the MASL TV channel still has it half game.
So in that same game, while you were at the arena watching it in person, I got to watch it through the eyes of St. Louis owner Shelley Clark, and great job with the angle that she had. She was able to follow the ball. I would like a little more commentary from Shelley. But overall, great broadcast from Shelley.
So Shelley gets an A then.
Absolutely.
Okay. San Diego. I give San Diego a C. And again, kind of like Dallas, their broadcast was a little bit blurry on their main camera. I don't know what changed. It's the overall picture is darker than it has been in previous years, and that may be coming into it, but they've had better broadcasts this year. And then for most of the game, the commercials were blasting loud over the announcer volume. And then Ontario, I give them a B. And my first sentence said Ontario celebrated Monday night with the return of the alternate camera angles. There was obviously some kind of issue with the main camera, because they tried to go to it and it would come up with like a no video, and then it would pop to a weird angle. So like the first, maybe half of the first quarter was like an end zone or end goal end, and like side angles and all these weird things. But I gave them a B because they fixed it and they got much better throughout the game. I think what was happening is with the glass up, there were some angles you couldn't see the ball.
Yeah.
So that was an issue, but I think they'll get better at that. And I think also because it was a weekday game, they probably didn't have as much prep time as they would have had on a weekend. But I thought, solid B. I did tell Reimer, just to make him happy, that it was more like an A-, but I'm not doing minus grades, so I'm just wasn't good enough to be a solid A, so it has to be a B. And that was it. There was only 5 last week, which is weird.
Yeah.
This week there will be many more.
Yeah.
Which brings us.
Many more?
I do have another comment on the broadcast.
Okay.
I think. So Adam Grosskreutz says first half A, second half F, overall grade C for Milwaukee. I could see that, but I think if you miss half a game, that's just automatically your grade. Like you just if Baltimore missed 5 minutes in the third quarter, that would drop them down at least a full point. If Florida told us that we'd be lucky if we even have a picture, they would drop them down a full grade. But what I was going to say is, I think our main issue with broadcasts. So I had a talk with Soccer Sam, and he said he watched some kind of futsal match. And he said there weren't really any people in the stands, many at all, but it wasn't an issue because they had really tight, clear camera angles and they were simple. And he said it was a great looking broadcast, better than most that we're seeing in the league, in the MASL right now. I think the issue is that the MASL broadcasts, almost all of them, are just a feed on what goes on the Jumbotron, just dumped out to YouTube. And I think until that changes, Ontario may be one of the few teams that doesn't do that. But I think until that changes, and it probably won't ever change because that requires more cameras and more money. But until that practice changes and they really do a broadcast of a TV broadcast rather than just feeding the stream from the Jumbotron out, I think that's where our issues are going to lie. Because they're never going to be that like ESPN quality. There's always going to be something missing where, you're going on, like, nobody who's watching a game on ESPN cares about some kid looking up the camera and waving every 5 minutes.
Unless it's my kid.
Well, right. Unless you could, but in a broadcast, in the Jumbotron, when you're on the arena, everyone wants to see that. So there's that. So I think that's all I had to say. Oh, I did have a comment on San Diego, Tacoma. Tacoma scored late in the fourth to tie it 3-3, and it was all doom and gloom from the broadcast team of Craig and Nate, saying how bad the Sockers are playing. They weren't playing with any passion. Tacoma just really came in and showed that they wanted to win it, and that the outcome of the game was likely, it was questionable, and they weren't, and every call after that, like Tacoma gets a 2-on-1, like, oh, Tacoma's coming in for the win. There's still like 7 minutes left or whatever. And I think everybody else outside of San Diego who's watching this is like, we've seen this story before. You're not going to convince me that San Diego's not going to win before regulation or in overtime. And sure enough, San Diego won in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, they did it in Chihuahua.
Yep.
Twice? Was it twice?
Yep. They had 3 overtime wins in like 5 days.
Yeah, so we've seen it happen before.
Which is kind of crazy. 3 overtime wins in 5 days. Not just 3 overtime games. 3 overtime wins in 5 days.
Yep.
All right, so we have our picks for the week. Yeah. First game, Friday night, February 11th.
Wait. Did you say February tomorrow?
I sure did.
Okay. All right.
Because a squirrel. Squirrel. What? Harrisburg at Baltimore. Yeah. Harrisburg just came off a win at Baltimore, or against Baltimore in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Baltimore came off a big win.
If you look at, Baltimore last came off a win against a team that can't be named.
Fried corn
I would
dogs.
take Baltimore.
I pick Baltimore as well.
Although I would like to see Harrisburg win.
Agreed.
So speaking of Harrisburg, I got to tell you, Harrisburg's been stepping up their social media game a little bit.
Yeah,
they've been coming out with some interesting things. The last thing was which Heat player would be most likely to ruin a wedding, and everyone said the same person. Willie B. And then, so he made a shirt, and it's like the best +1 or something like that. And it shows a picture of him like dancing in a tuxedo. And I told Harrisburg Heat, I'm like, Harrisburg Heat, I want this shirt.
Yeah, right.
Like, this is the shirt that I would purchase, like, right now. So they're going to work on that. But yeah, they've been doing great work over there in Harrisburg. But I think on the field it's going to be Baltimore.
Gio, is everything okay over there? Gio typed in, correction, we are on period 2W.
We're on what?
I have no idea.
Is Gio back on his pain meds from when he had his...
Are you having a stroke, or are you on pain meds again, or is everything okay?
From his knee issue?
Baltimore beat the Heat in their
Is his cat, like, typing for him?
Baltimore beat the Heat in their last match in Harrisburg. Okay. I'll believe it. I won't argue. What day was that? January. What month is this? Where are we? Oh, Baltimore beat. Oh yeah, they did. So would they lose the first and win the second? So the Baltimore's on a 2-game win streak, is what it is. Well, there's a place that showed that. Oh yeah, win 2. All right. Thank you, Alec. I hope Gio's okay, or I hope the cat's okay, or whatever just happened.
Yeah, can someone go over and check on Gio for us?
Oh, they're on 2 wins. That's what he means.
Oh, okay.
I don't speak that 1-letter kid text talk thing. You can get off my lawn. Next game Friday is Chihuahua at St. Louis at the Family Arena.
Well, I mean, what Chihuahua team are we getting? Like,
right?
It's they can't bring a lot of their key players over. So I think the edge goes to St. Louis.
I agree, especially with the addition of 2 new players, some new blood in there.
Yep. So we're going on a road trip.
What are you doing? Okay, bye. What's happening here?
No, I'm here. I'm just moving location.
Oh, I wish I had a new location. I could go here.
Ugh.
So I think we both picked St. Louis. Last game for Friday night is San Diego at Tacoma in the ShoWare Center.
Okay.
What team are we going to get for what team? Did you hear what I said? San Diego?
I'm taking Tacoma in an upset.
I'm picking San Diego.
All right.
I haven't seen them really falter. Even the game where they said they played the worst they've ever played in the whole thing, they still held the Tacoma to 3 goals and they scored in overtime to win.
I look back at the past few years, and I mean, Monterey's undefeated streak was broken by Tacoma in Tacoma. I think Tacoma put the 1 in whatever San Diego's 23-1 or whatever. I think that was in Tacoma. So, I mean, if the past has anything to say about this game, I think Tacoma has a shot.
You know, we didn't do. There's back-to-back games.
There is.
So we'll just do the same team. So I think that's the only one. So San Diego plays Tacoma Friday and Saturday nights.
All right. So I'm gonna do the split. I'm gonna go Tacoma, San Diego.
I'm gonna pick San Diego twice.
Okay. Did you see the Tacoma jerseys? They're auctioning off.
No, I didn't see this one.
They are designed by Alessandro Canali. They're pretty cool looking. They're pretty nice looking. So you go over to Live Source and bid on those.
Posted anywhere? There's no diamond things. They're lines. They're like weaved line things.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and Alex just said Tacoma's usually good for one upset over San Diego per year. I agree. I'm gonna
get it right eventually.
Yeah, if you keep picking them, Dallas will finally win. Wait, no, that's somebody else.
Yeah.
Next game. So this is on the back of a doubleheader, or a back-to-back. Chihuahua at Kansas City. Granted, the travel isn't very far, but they're still playing.
They're playing Kansas City, who hasn't played in a week or so. So
KC by a lot.
Yeah.
Next game, the finally game that matters. Harrisburg at Milwaukee. Saturday night. Harrisburg coming off a back. So this is the Harrisburg second game.
Close game.
I think
it's going to be a close game, but I mean, I think travel's going to be an issue. So give me Milwaukee. Tell Willie B I said hi.
I'll have to see if I can say hi to him. I picked Milwaukee, of course, but it's going to be a weird, like Milwaukee that played St. Louis. They made a lot of weird mistakes. I talked to Matt Pearl after the game. He goes, that was just weird. There were a lot of really weird things. And there was some defensive breakdowns that you could tell they weren't going to clear. And just the ball's like pinging around inside the thing. And,
Giggity.
Yeah. And it just, as soon as it shoots out, it goes right to a St. Louis player. So I think they're going to shore up some of those things. They have Wiedebach back. They have Andre Hain back. Hain killed off a penalty on his own to the point where it almost looked like the waiver on the power play when they were shorthanded. It was very impressive. Like, he held the ball for like a minute. It was kind of crazy. And that was later in the game, and there was some weird stuff going on late in the game. They did seem kind of lost without Alex. Alex has not had a lot of numbers this year, but he's been really, really solid. And almost that like center midfielder, if you're outdoor terms, not really quarterback, but kind of just putting everyone in the right direction. It's Alex Bradley is out for probably, I'll say definitely the regular season, torn MCL and broken thumb, and hopefully he'll be back by playoffs. So in the foul of the St. Louis people didn't think was a penalty, it took the guy out for potentially the season. Obvious penalty. I picked Milwaukee by I think they can get off to a good start and they can hold it. They did get off to a 2-0 start against St. Louis and couldn't hold that, but they still ended up winning in overtime. They were still up with just a couple minutes left and probably 5 or 6 minutes left and gave up a goal to tie it. So close games in Milwaukee are not good.
Wait, so how did they win, or when did they win last week?
It was 28 seconds into
overtime.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, all right, we have that game. Next game, Florida at Dallas. All in favor of Florida? Aye.
Yeah, sure.
Next game. Oh, and it was announced that the Dallas's huge announcement that was going to be make way for the future of the team is that Dallas's coach is going to be Dallas's coach. So Ricardinho signed.
We probably should have let in with that.
Yeah, Ricardinho signed a permanent. He's no longer the interim. Still waiting to see what happens in St. Louis about the interim thing, but yeah. All right, next game that matters: Utica at St. Louis. St. Louis coming off a back-to-back at home.
I don't want to pick this game. I really don't.
All right, next game.
You know who I'm going to pick, but Utica has to score more than at least 5 goals to even have a chance.
I think Utica has a chance because of the back-to-back, but
I mean, right now it's a revolving door. I mean,
yeah.
Pat Thompson's out for the year. Moises Gonzalez is out for the year. Obasi got traded to Ontario. We just signed Andrew Hoxie, Lucio Gonzaga.
I want to say hi to Dante and Soccer Sam. How's it going, guys? Kevin says Utica will win with an OT. Is it Piwu? How do you pronounce his name?
I have no idea.
Who do you think starts in goal?
Who starts in goal? I think you're going to see Coughlin. Although I'd like to see Wilkin. Coughlin starting in Baltimore. They're in these Utica. It's weird. Like, Utica's been in most of the games that they've played this season. Now, Ontario, they were in it for part of it, and then they just got blown out.
Yeah.
Based off of my interview, I'm going to blame it on me. So I think a key for Utica is getting out to an early lead and then holding it. They can play defense.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you watched MASL Primetime this week. I started to watch it before we connected tonight, but one of the things I did see was that just awful pass back attempt that led to a ball that was like an instant Baltimore goal, because whoever the defender was just didn't kick it anywhere near where he should have or how hard, and it just Wilkin couldn't even get it and just went right to the Baltimore guy who just tapped it in. And Alex Bostjovanski, there's a name, said, unfortunately, this pretty much summarizes Utica's season. I was like, oof. But then I was like, yeah, kind of.
It really is. If you were to go back and look at the number of goals that came from defensive blunders in their defensive end, we could have had a couple more games won.
Yeah,
we'd be talking probably like 500 right now.
I remember, I think it was Paulo's first season, and St. Louis had either only won 1 or 3 games that year. There was a play where Paulo, your defender gets the ball and the goalie swings out here and they do the thing where they pass back. Well, the defender gets the ball, Paulo swings out here, and the defender passes back right in the goal.
Yeah.
And Paulo was maybe 10 feet away from it at any point, and just no chance. And the guy it was like, oh, that kind of summarizes how that season went for them. That kind of reminds me.
Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, it's been tough for Utica fans. I don't think we've had the same starting lineup in consecutive games, so it'll be interesting to see, A, who suits up for Utica, and B.
Yeah. That's what Brandon said. Whether we bring in new people or lose people to injury, the roster has changed nearly each week. If we remember last season, in the shortened, weird season, St. Louis started out really strong, and then COVID and injuries hit. They didn't get all their players back into the playoffs, and they hadn't played together at all the season. They just couldn't get it together. They couldn't put the wins together.
I mean, if we have this team, I mean, I was saying, like, maybe the Fountain of Youth can come Utica's way and these guys play like they did 10 years ago. Like this team has potential. It's just tying up loose ends. Getting Logan Roberts back would be a huge help. Speedy defenseman. Darren Toby, I don't think is going to be back, unfortunately, because of visa issues. Stupid.
Yeah, I don't even really want to go into the visa issues, but
a lot of key pieces are out, and hopefully the pieces that we got in via trade, free agency, whatever, will pay dividends. So hopefully this week is. I keep saying that, but I think St. Louis is a game that Utica can win and should.
Yeah, and I mean St. Louis has kind of been going this way, and Milwaukee's been going this way, and I mean I thought St. Louis played a great game, but there was a play in Milwaukee, and it was you guys probably didn't see it on the broadcast unless you went back and watched. It was in early in the second half. It was one of those tic-tac-toe passes where somebody passed to Ian, who passed right to the back door, and out of nowhere, a St. Louis player materialized to block the backdoor tap in. Like if you were watching it on the screen, he probably wasn't even on the screen at all until the ball got to the player, and before he could tap it in, the St. Louis player flies in and just perfect block. They had a number of those, and there were a number of just kind of sloppy finishes on Milwaukee's part. The game could have easily been out of reach, but it wasn't, and St. Louis held it, stayed in there, and they got to overtime. You never know which team you're going to get with St. Louis, I don't think.
Yep.
All right. The next one is the one we went over with San Diego. So the last game then is on a Tuesday night, February 15th. San Diego at Ontario. So this is San Diego's third game in 4 days.
Ontario.
I don't think I can pick against Ontario here. I don't think I can pick. I can't pick San Diego 3 times in a row. I think Ontario has gotten good enough to be able to beat them outright. Plus the fact that there's third game in 4 days, I think San Diego's in trouble.
Look at the last 2 games Ontario's played. They've outscored their opponents 23-7.
Not bad.
I mean, and if you want to look at second half,
Utica
scored 2 goals, and I think Tacoma scored 1, and Ontario scored a lot. So
a lot more, yeah.
I think Ontario is starting to heat up a little bit, like we knew they were going to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take the Fury.
Yeah, I take the Fury too. I think. Let's say this was San Diego's first game of the weekend. I would still pick the Fury.
Yeah.
But having it being the third, I think this could be the start of San Diego's kind of spiral. Because their next game isn't until 25th, and it's against Kansas City.
Well, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, so that's all for the week. Next games aren't until after our next show, so we can pick those next week.
That's right.
Kevin says San Diego will win all 3. Gio says Utica is Dallas Utica is last year's Dallas of this season.
So that means Gio picks Utica every week?
Oh wait, so are Chihuahua and Harrisburg. Yeah. I mean, we talk about, so there was a comment made in a broadcast that I won't mention because I don't want to ever watch one again, but I will have to. So Florida's Brian Ackley said, when they do the keys of the game, so he brought up keys of the game. He goes, your record is what you are as a team. Because, we always talk about Harrisburg is a much better team than their record shows. And, Milwaukee may be much better team and some other teams may be worse or whatever. Brian Ackley says, no, whatever your record says, that's what team you are. And I don't know where he's going with that because that was one of the most absurd things I heard and I turned off to another game. But, Chihuahua is not as bad as their record shows. But somehow Jay
according to most people.
Right. Well, it's it's an expansion team and blah 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 and this and that and the other. All right. Well, I don't think we have anything else to talk about, do we?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I want to talk about visa stuff, but I don't have anything to talk about.
Well, why don't we rip the Band-Aid off? Why don't we just?
Well, we'll say goodbye to everyone first. I know you're.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do that.
So, thank you everyone for joining tonight.
Hopefully, maybe next week we'll have maybe guests. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Yeah, Gio said at this level margins are oceans, which is true. I mean, you can't be like 8 games out of winning and expect to come back at this point. But I think in talking to Coach from the Wave, I think Milwaukee can get 5th or 6th seed. We keep going the way we're going. We have to win all the home games, and that's definitely going to be hard because there's some good teams coming in.
Yeah, we're and I mean every team is still going after the playoffs. I know I talked to Tommy, and we're still eyeing. We just need to get in, and
need
I
to
think
figure
if we
out
get in, figure out a way, and I think it starts this week.
Who wins the Super Bowl?
I gotta go Philly and Panda Rams.
My pick is I don't care because I didn't really watch a game this season.
It's supposed to be like 85, 90 degrees down there. And while I was there, it was like 50. I'm like, this is absurd.
Well, you went the wrong week.
I did.
You should have gone a different week.
Yeah, I should probably do that. Yeah.
Oh, Amanda just got here. We're just about ending it. All right, so yeah, good night, everyone. I will end with kind of a ritual that we have on the show here where I tell a bad joke and Matt hangs up on me. And so we'll just get to it. You ready? Everybody ready?
Well. First of all, thank you everyone for watching.
Yes.
Subscribe. Do all the necessary YouTube things, and then yeah. Okay, go.
Do this thing. Just hit the red button.
Hang on. Let me put my thumb right over the hang up button.
All right.
Okay, I'm good.
What does Santa give a naughty soccer player for Christmas?